Costco's offering to take us on a whiskey tour of the world, but at $170, is it actually worth it? I happen to have it right here, so let's dive in. First of all, this really is a beautiful presentation. From the art on the side of the box itself, like it is wood, quite heavy. It is set up to resemble like a fancy series of books that you might find, like a old leather-bound edition kind of vibe, but they are not clearly leather. Each book really does look like a book, and it's got like a little bit of a magnetic closure, so they do stay nice. What we have here, Volume 1, Anticipation. And then inside you'll see all of the different bottles of whiskey. Each bottle is 50 milliliters, which comes in at just about 1.7 ounces, so it is slightly more than if you were to order a pour at a bar. They also include 2 Glencairn glasses. And those are in the larger of the little book-looking containers. So it is a really lovely presentation, but let's be honest, most of us do not have much use for this afterwards. We probably all have glasses that we're drinking our whiskey out of already, so we don't need more glasses. So I'm going to be evaluating this primarily on the value of the whiskey contained inside the... I will say, if you're giving this as a gift, like there's this lovely booklet, which actually is a book, and they go into detail for each individual whiskey. Now, a lot of these are spread out across the world, and most people, at least in the United States, are very into their bourbon. So this is a wonderful way if someone is looking to branch out and try new things. Within the book, they do detail some ways in which you can either reuse, repurpose, or recycle the container, just for sustainability reasons. And then at the back of the book, they have space for you to keep your whiskey notes. In the beginning of each of these different volumes, they do have some educational information about the different whiskeys in the different regions. They're not really grouped, so it's kind of nice. You get a good diversity if you're going to be going through this one day at a time throughout the month of December. The whiskeys contained in here are primarily single malts, so if you're not necessarily into whiskeys that are made out of barley, either the American single malts or the ones found across the world, like an unpeated Scotch, for example, you might have a hard time with this. It is almost entirely single malt whiskeys. One other consideration in terms of value is availability of a lot of these whiskeys. Many are from far-flung places across the world, like Icelandic whiskey. You may or may not be able to find that in your local market, depending on distribution, how big of a metropolitan area you live in. So if you do live out maybe somewhere more rural, or you're going to be gifting this to someone who does live a little further away from a large city where you would be able to find all of these easily, either in a bar or a liquor store, this is a great way to try some gems you would otherwise not necessarily have access to easily. While this set does contain 2 high-value whiskeys, most of the whiskeys contained therein are about $50 to $75 range. And if we were to use average bar pricing, so the way bars will calculate the price of a pour is you take the retail price of the bottle, in this case let's just say $50, and then you would divide it by 5, so that would be $10. So you would charge $10 for a 1.5 ounce pour of that particular whiskey. So if we use bar math, then you can say that there's approximately $240 to $350 worth of value depending on which whiskey. If it's $10 to $15 is typically what you'd see. So that means even at the low end of the value at $10 a pour, if you were to go to a bar, you only need to be interested in 17 of the different whiskeys in here in order to, at a minimum, break even, as it were. But you're probably not finding most of these for $10. It's more likely within the $12 to $15 range for a single pour of each of these. So even though 17 of them just have to be new to you, or at least ones you would really be interested in trying, do make sure to look at the list. If you have had a lot of these, I do live in a fairly major metropolitan area. Chicago has excellent access to whiskeys. I have tried a good number of the whiskeys in this calendar, and I do like most of them. There are a few, such as the Mary Dowling, where they finish it in tequila barrels. I do not generally like whiskey finished in tequila barrels, and specifically those I do not like. But for all the rest of the ones that I have had, I wouldn't mind having some more. I do enjoy them, and I mean, you're not necessarily going to buy a whole bottle of a whiskey just because you like it. So it's a nice way to kind of refresh the memory and just switch things up and try something different. So realistically, even if only half the whiskeys appeal to you and only half of them you end up enjoying, you're still pretty much paying about what you'd be paying at a bar. So if you're looking at it in terms of, am I at least breaking even? You are most likely to at least break even. Now, is this an exceptional value? If you're using it as a gift and the glasses, the whole presentation does add value for you, then yes, I think this is a really great value. If you're just looking at the whiskeys contained therein, then it is a good value. But I'm not sure I'd use exceptional. I am very excited to have this though. It's so cute. I love the presentation of this, maybe more than any other Whiskey Advent calendar that I've had before. They've really done a good job putting this together. And they have some very solid selections for whiskeys and a really nice variety. You have quite a variety of finishes. For the 25-25 festive season, have you come across any other whiskey gift sets such as this that you would recommend looking into? I will say the physical presentation of this is the nicest I have seen out of any others. Usually they're in a cardboard box, sometimes with a very clever theme. But this one, like the physical box that you're getting and the way that's presented, is really quite nice. I would love to hear if anyone has found something that they like better. Please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.